Hey everybody, how's it going? Today I'm going to be installing a set of LED headlights in my 2022 Silverado Custom. These trucks come with halogen headlights. It's 2022. I think they would upgrade those from the factory with HIDs or LEDs. But this is a lower trim model, so I'm not completely surprised. Either way, I'm going to upgrade these with some LEDs that I've got from Lasfit. Thanks a lot, Lasfit, for sending me these to install on this truck. I'm going to walk you through it. So we've got these here. These are the 9005s. These are the high beams, which will go in these bottom housings. And then these are the Lasfit Pros that'll go in the low beam housing, which is the top ones here. And they're kind of cool. They have their own dust cap with a fan built into it to help alleviate some of the heat that's generated by the LED's heatsink on the back. So I'll show you how that goes in. Now, the install for these, they didn't leave you a whole lot of room to get back behind the headlight here. It can be done, but it is a tighter space than previous generation trucks. One other video I saw is somebody removed the screws on the fender liner here to get to the high beam, which is that circle right there, if you can see it. There it is. That's the high beam. That might help get to that. We'll try that out. And then for the low beam, I think I'm gonna have to go in through the top here. So in order to get access to the back side of the headlight, to remove the fender liner, there are some T15 TORX screws that are along the fender liner. You can remove them. There's about 5 that I removed that give enough access to get my hand in there. And then you just kind of peel this back. So there you can see the dust cap, and it's got a couple of tabs on it. It's just a rubber dust cap. They're not hard plastic like on the Chevy Colorado and GMC Canyon, but you can just reach in there, grab on the tabs, and yank it off just like that. And then you can reach in there and remove the halogen bulb, which is just a twisting motion. It is awful tight. And there's a random wire in the way that I can feel. I'm not even seeing this myself, I'm just feeling. There is the bulb itself, and you just have to release the tab, just like any other headlight, super easy. Release the tab and you can pull the headlight bulb out. There it is. Now I've got my new Lasfit LED. It's going to go right in place. It's got this heatsink on the back with a fan, and then this is what gets plugged in. These are non-polar specific, so if you plug it in one way and it doesn't turn on, flip the connector around and plug it back in and it should work. So let's get this one plugged in. I'm going to try to twist it into place first before connecting the connector. That was a little easier. So if you come and look through the lens on the housing, you can see that bulb is nice and straight up and down. That's the way you want it to be. These bulbs don't appear to have an adjustable collar like some LEDs do. It's nice that you just twist it into place and it's perfectly aligned right where it should be. Now it's just a matter of reconnecting that connector and sealing it back up. So I'm going to reach in here, plug it in, got a nice click. I'm going to test it first before I seal it back up to make sure I got the polarity correct. It appears I do have the polarity correct because it turned on. And you can see the difference in color even between the halogen low beam and the new LED high beam, much better. Also, here's the other side. Both of those are still the original halogens. Then it's just a matter of reinstalling the dust cover. It pops back in place and you need to just push it, and it's relatively straightforward. So just reach in. And there's plenty of clearance. I was worried about that fan on the back of the LED, but there's plenty of clearance. So then you can go ahead and seal up your fender liner with the T15 screws. Now for the low beam, you're not going to be able to go through the fender liner. You're going to have to go through the top here and reach down. It's basically right here, the length of my fingers, and there's the dust cap that I'm going to peel off now. It's the same style, and we're actually going to get rid of this because on these new low beams they have a new dust cover that has a fan built into it to dissipate some of the heat while they're running. So this is your new dust cover for the low beams, and this bigger connector is what's going to connect into the factory wiring inside the headlight, and then this little connector is what's going to connect to the bulb itself. And here is the bulb. It does have quite a big heat sink on it. These were designed specifically for these trucks, so it should fit no issues. You can see it's also got the fan there. These ones do have an adjustable collar, meaning you have to make sure you get them timed correctly in the housing. You can see down in there, there's a little Allen screw, and they provide an Allen key with their kit. So you're gonna have to maybe do some trial and error to get them to be lined up perfectly when you twist them into place. You want them to be straight up and down like the high beams were that I showed you earlier. And if they're not, you need to loosen this screw and adjust the collar on here so that when you twist these into place, this is going straight up and down. So I really cannot get a good angle of doing this. This is about as best as I can get. It's so dark in here. But I've already removed the dust cap like I showed you. I haven't removed the OEM light bulb yet, but I'm gonna reach down in here now and get it. Just a twist. At least they give you a little bit of wiring on it so you can pull it up, depress the tab, pop off the light bulb. Now I'm going to take the new LED, put it into place, twist it, and see where it lines up. Hopefully I'll get lucky and I won't have to adjust the collar at all, but we'll see. Alright, I got it. It's not easy. The grommet makes it kind of difficult to really push it into place. I almost had to use two hands, and it's tight enough with one hand, but I did get it, and luckily it seems like it's almost perfectly straight up and down. It's hard to tell because it's got that shroud on the low beam with the Chevy symbol on it, you see there, but it's close enough to being straight up and down for my liking. I might be able to turn it just slightly more to get it straight up and down, but yeah, that's good enough for me. So the next step is installing this dust cap, and first you're gonna connect this little 4-pin connector to the headlight bulb, and then you're gonna connect this to the factory wiring. And before you button it up, test it, because these are, like I said, non-polarity specific. So if you plug it in one way and it doesn't work, do it the other way and it should start. I'm gonna plug these in. I'm not even gonna show you because you can't really see anything anyways. So I got it plugged in, and on my first try, the light didn't turn on. So I had to flip that connector to make it work, and it came on. You can see up here, I haven't plugged in the dust shroud yet. That noise you're hearing is the fan inside of here that's blowing air out. There's a little fan right there. This is the connector coming from the bulb. It's just a little 4-pin connector. You screw this on and make it a connection, and then this is the factory connection here that goes to the headlight itself. So that's what that looks like. So I've got the high beams on now too as well, just so you can see the difference. I'm going to show you this side. There's the factory halogens versus the Lasfit LEDs. Much brighter over here, as you can see. So the last step here is installing this dust cover. A note about installing this dust cover: you want this warning label that says down to face down, because there's the holes for the fan that are on the bottom side, and you don't want them to be on the top because then water can get in there. So when you install this, you want it facing down so that these vent slots are facing towards the ground. All right, so now that I've got the driver's side done, I'm gonna do the passenger side. The process is identical. Come in through the fender liner for the high beam, come over the top here for the low beam, because again, they don't give you a lot of room. They do, it might be a little better on this side because you can kind of reach in through here, and there's an opening in this bulkhead to get right to here. But on the other side, there's the washer reservoir that's in the way that makes it so you can't really stick your hand down in here. All right, so I got the passenger side ones installed. A little easier, still kind of difficult on that top one because the back side of that bulb is kind of just big, but you can fight it enough to get it in there and get it all plugged in. I do like the nice bright white light instead of the yellow halogen. Remember, when you install this, make sure you point this down so that the fins on this fan are pointing downwards. I did that on this side. The new fan shroud right here. You can just barely make out that triangle that's pointing down. That's it for the install. I'm gonna do some night driving with these tonight and get some footage and put it at the end of this video. I am impressed with these LEDs in this truck's housings. To a certain extent, the low beams are great. There is a pretty intense hot spot straight ahead of the truck. It's hard to pick up in the video, but during normal driving with your human eyes, you'll see the hot spot. That's just the nature of these trucks' reflectors. They put a lot of the light straight ahead of the truck, and it doesn't really disperse it to the sides very much. With the high beams, I was less impressed with the LEDs, but they still do put out more than the stock halogens. It is an improvement over stock by a large factor. Now, if these headlights were some sort of projector that you could swap these LEDs into, I feel like they would be much better. Like on a GMC Canyon or Chevy Colorado, for instance, those have a halogen projector, and when upgraded with LEDs, they are much better. But for what it is, this is what this truck has, and they do a good job with upgraded bulbs. The installation of these can get a little bit tricky just because of the tight spaces that you're working in, but it can be done like I showed you earlier on in the video. I'd like to thank Lasfit for providing these bulbs for today's video. Be sure to check links in the description box below for where you can purchase these for yourself. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Love it if you subscribe. Stay tuned for new videos. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Later.